real talk, the inspiring success stories. Uh, I'm privileged and honored to welcome Shri Prahaladbhai Shivrambhai Patel, the founder, CMD, and CEO of PSP Projects Limited, a public listed company having turnover of 2,000 crore. A first-generation entrepreneur, he carries rich experience of 35 years in the construction industry, where he started from a grassroots as an engineer in a private firm to making PSP Projects Limited as one of the leading building construction company in India within 15 years of establishment. Some of the milestone projects completed by him include world's biggest office building at Surat Diamond Bourse, the prestigious Kashi Vishwanath corridor in Varanasi, iconic Sabarmati riverfront project, and Gujarat Chief Minister's office and new Vidhan Sabha. So many more to his credits, ladies and gentlemen. Please help me welcome Shri Prahaladbhai Shivrambhai Patel, the founder, CMD, and CEO of PSP Projects Limited. We are very, very privileged to have you, sir. The next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, architect Yatin Pandya. He's an author, activist, academician, researcher, and practicing architect with his firm Footprints Earth, Environment, Architecture, Research, Technology, Housing, a graduate of CEPT University, Ahmedabad. He has availed Master of Architecture degree from McGill University, Montreal. Yatin has been involved with city planning, urban design, mass housing, architecture, interior design, product design, as well as conservation projects. He has written over 200 articles in national and international journals, several books authored by him on architecture, especially concepts of space in traditional Indian architecture and elements of space making has been published internationally. Can we have a huge round of applause for architect Yatin Pandya? And Yatin sir, I am privileged. I am sure you will not remember, but I have been in SEPT SID, your student. Thank you so much. It is absolute pleasure seeing my faculty out here.
Our students yaad rakhenge.
Yaad rakhenge. And in conversation with them will be Ms. Sapna Srivastava, editor Realty Plus, an architect by qualification. Sapna Srivastava forayed in the field of architectural journalism in the year 2006 as editor of Realty Plus. She maintained editorial benchmarks and ideates new editorial products. She was associated with the Urban Forum, a non-profit organization founded by the Mumbai architects, and was a visiting faculty for interior design at NIFD Mumbai. Her work has been published in several major national newspapers. And over to you, ma'am, for the fireside chat. Everybody, let's put our hands together for this amazing panel on stage.
Thank you, Krishna, for the wonderful introductions for all our speakers and myself. Another very important announcement that I'm going to make here is that we have two birthday boys here with us. So, so many happy birthday wishes and many happy returns of the day from the entire Realty Plus team as well as from our audience. In fact, we were there in the speakers lounge. I was talking to them. One thing that is very common to both the speakers here and which is very inspiring, I must say, for me personally, is that they both are pretty humble. इतना कुछ अचीव करने के बाद भी इनके प्रोफेशन में पर्सनल प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में जो विनम्रता उनमें आज भी है आई थिंक that's quite something that we need to learn from. So on that note, Mr. Patel, you are very passionate about, you have time and again stated, build to last is what you talk about. आजकल हम recently सुनते हैं, न्यूज़ में देखते हैं, you know, ब्रिज बना, कोलैप्स हो गया, नई बिल्डिंग बनी, क्रैक्स आ गए. What do you have to say about that? Because build to last is your philosophy.
Thank you, Sapna, and thank you, Realty Plus, for giving us this opportunity to talk on the forum of all architects and real estate people on the audience. See, first of all, think there are three fraternities. One is engineer, one is doctor, and one is advocate. advocates are never cautioned. When you go to a person for an advocate, he advise, you are not able to advise an advocate, you are not able to advise a doctor, but everybody will advise an engineer. See, this is the worst, yeah, this is the worst part of this industry, I would say. So the ownership, when she was talking about passionate about build to last, I personally own myself as I'm an engineer. See, once you consider yourself as the part of this fraternity, you will automatically come to a conclusion, then I have to deliver a quality. I have to understand the norms of the construction. Money can be a part, but as an engineer, money can't be a part. Yes, businessman, you always seek for money. But as an engineer, you can't seek for money out of your field. So that's the biggest difference which we are seeing. And what I personally see when I talk about my building, my passion, this is because I started from my career and I always think what is the best, how we can do the best. So this is what the whole society or the whole fraternity which we are now going through. And I would say that this is a good part of the Ahmedabad city and little bit good part on the government side also. Now they are taking initiative and more strict actions on going on this quality part of the general infrastructure like bridge and road. It's not about their taking strict action. I would say this is awareness to deliver the best. Because see, the systems on which we have passed through last 10 years, that's the tendering system which is going as per the lowest. Each and every person want to come to lowest. I would say that there has to be a system where somebody has to come second lowest. So now to come lowest is the best way, but to come second lowest is a tough task. So there are few systems in the different parts of the world that they insist for person coming as a second lowest. So this race of deteriorating quality to complete the project can be reduced to an extent. And as far as this building fraternity is concerned, see, you put a trust on a doctor when you go to a doctor. You put your trust on an advocate when you go to an advocate for some legal advice. Now, as an engineer, people are putting trust on us also. As an individual, as an engineer, I personally feel that if I am making a building, and when I see the aesthetic, first is the structure part, we have to own concrete. I think we have missed somewhere the concrete element which we used to see in a different direction, but it is now coming up well, like very good in the overall culture of the construction industry, that now concrete is being respected at all levels. And that's what is required in general infrastructure also as well as building also. When it comes to delivery of a quality also, you just think that if you are going to live in this building, are you going to be happy to see this every day and night when you are moving to a bedroom, or you are moving to a drawing room, or if you are making a commercial building, you will feel good? If the answer is no, then you are doing I think you are doing injustice to the project. So I would always advise everyone, and personally speaking, I am always passionate about things to happen properly. Yes, the industry is much unorganized, that where we have to take more and more care. Skill is getting deteriorated day by day. People are not dedicated towards delivering good product. Here, the owners and the engineers has to take much more pain. We can't sit idle and we can just see that isse acha kuch ho hi nahi raha. That's not the way to understand a building construction. Thank you.
That's true. So ownership from the engineering companies, from the construction companies, and then as a consumer or as a client, I think to trust your engineers and to trust your construction companies, something what Mr. Patel is saying. Mr. Pandey, similar question to you. अभी ये building Chicago में है या अहमदाबाद में समझ में नहीं आता. So you believe in traditional wisdom. So will you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the wisdom is a word we need to understand wisely, because whenever, at least we have been, raised in a psyche, maybe with a complex, that when we say tradition in India, we think antiquity, 5000 BC or something, and as if that is a sign of not a progress or not a kind of a forward-looking thinking. So that's where I have made my own definition to, for me, clarify these two synonym words. Used to be a synonym, I say it's opposite. History and tradition. History is a dead tradition, while tradition is a living history. The very fact yesterday continues to be part of us today has proven that those values are still part of us and are valid in today's context. And therefore, I think strongly in India, we don't have fossilized past or mummified yesterday, embalmed history. We live in yesterday because that has continued to be part of us today. So if we see that, that's our living legacy. So not for grandmother's nostalgia, not for any romance for the past, purely as a rational, objective look at it from three performance criteria. If we understand architecture of the place. One, if it was pre-electricity days and if they still found ways to comfort the environment without dependence on artificial energy when it was not needed or gadgetry, can we not learn those principles? In fact, we often have awe about the lifestyle of the kings and whatnot. Do we think that they were sweating and they were so miserable? If we think that was a good way of life, and we also had architecture that allowed us to do the comfort management without dependence on this artificial energy, for the fact that there was none, can we not learn those principles, not imitating form, style, etc.? Second reason, that they have evolved from the place, by the place, for the place. For example, we see that in Japan, a very severe earthquake, but to our, a human disappointment, no casualty. Because with such scale, we always associate so many thousands dead and so much of a destruction and so on and so forth. But the very fact that in that region, they've been used to this force, they have applied their understanding to create a built environment or even their way of life such that you kind of not get affected by that, and over time it is perfected even. And the third reason is most of our tourism is to what? To places which are centuries old. For example, our stepwell, which is even functionally obsolete. And even today, if it continues to inspire awe, it is that timeless quality. Many new buildings, there might be a glamour for a day or two. Have we been given even a third glance to that building after some time? So can we not learn the principles of that timelessness? So these are three fundamental reasons of their performance, what they've proven is for which we should look at them. Just one, there was a study or there's a incident for, as a country or city, what do you call it, Singapore. Singapore was a virgin fisherman's island. For its uniqueness of nature and lifestyle and all, people found a central point where all conventions happened. They didn't have much industry and all that. And tourism became their mainstay. From there, they earned riches. What they invested, like everybody else, was in the concrete megalith. And this is a research fact that in 1997, that the tourism absolutely declined, nosedived. And the kind of authoritarian regime that it is, so it ran into the analysis. And they identified what was the culprit. They said that Singapore has lost its ethnicity, asmita. There's no identity of Singapore any different from having to go to Bangkok or Thailand or whatever. So what they did, that they corrected their course by saying that they found that, waterfronts are resources. They started even pitching their tourism, saying that melting pot of various culture. On their brochure, the Tamil, temple Shikhar or Gopuram was on the thing. And that's how they started. They said that we can't demolish Chinatowns. On the contrary, we'll turn it into the pensions or the homestays and boutiques. So they started reinventing the identity, because now Mustafa Mall was everywhere. That was no longer the highlight of having to go
context. That context
exactly.
doesn't have to be
Absolutely.
lost. And as you said, the timelessness
Absolutely.
of any building, any project, that has to be there, because fads come, go, trends come and go.
Very true, but not only building, it's the way of life. Like, understand, old city has got a heritage tag, UNESCO heritage tag, not like Taj Mahal for a building and a monument, but a lived-in tradition, lifestyle.
Right.
The way, and that includes everything, So when we say tradition, and it's a whole package
So
of
tradition
way of
is not
life.
a bad word. It is not
Absolutely,
a old
and not
word.
to be stylized in a building. Another study Sorry, very quickly.
But again, let me go to the next question. You both have very different philosophies from your peers at your time. You both started your journey almost 3 decades back. Times were completely different. Scenario was different. The sector was not very organized. What were your, Mr. Pandya, what were your top challenges? You came, you did your higher studies at McGill University, Montreal, and then established your company here. You had a very different philosophy. तो काम मिला आसानी से आपको या मुश्किल से?
काम तो उधर भी मिलता नहीं मिलता पता नहीं था. So there was nothing pushing me. So first of all, I had no reason that anything was pushing me to go there. And being in a neutral place, that also strengthened my convictions. See, earlier you take things for granted, your parents told you to do that, in traditional terms we continue to do that. When you're in a neutral territory, you question that and you find the right reasons for continuing or not continuing that. And I thought that having been in a very neutral context in Canada for 3 years, I could actually find a lot more conviction in what I was raised in. I was raised in a middle class, joint family, so the idea of caring, sharing, the kind of priorities in your values, So there was nothing pushing me from here, and I thought I'll come back. Not that I've done a great job or I've not, done any upkar on anybody. But when you come, I think, see how you see yourself in terms of that if you're convinced about that, you already know if you wanted 5 cars and 10 bungalows, then your path would have been different and you would have chosen a particular model. If you think that you want to pursue something of this sort, like I've been interested in all the 3 dimensions all the while, research, academics, and practice, because in this field, research cannot be only bookish, it has to be applied. And with academics, you keep young and keep, looking for newer and, appropriate things. So all these 3 continue to take me. I always say that anybody, what's your sign of getting retired or not getting retired? On Friday evening, if you don't have an itch and excitement and looking forward to Monday morning, then you should retire.
So you took the path less traveled.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm any different, or I even wonder why am I here, because you probably checked the birth dates for us to be together. You checked the first alphabet of the family name together, but you forgot to check my passbook. Then you would have probably have me in the outside of the corridor. But what I'm saying is that it's no different game, but there are different kinds of satisfactions that you do.
Right.
And I have also not been on a footpath, so it has given me something. But what I was saying is that probably who thought what kind of things I might be able to give are the ones who came to me. So my office is not air conditioned. Still now I used to be on the floor. So anybody who thought that is not the kind of person you go to, this is not the Baba that will give us the chabi for anything, they would not come to me. But those who think, वो for हमारे होता है ना, visa वाले बाबा अलग होते हैं, परदेश जाने के लिए अलग होते हैं, तो they come with full understanding and by believing in probably what I might be able to offer. And that's how you start. And then project after project, what you write maybe kind of influence them to think about those things. And that is how people have come. I only feel, kind of a little fulfilling part because they have been a repeat client, so they were not fooled for one time. But
Job
they came again,
satisfaction is very
and
important.
job satisfaction. But a lot of time we worked even on a charity project. And again, I'm not a son.
Let me come to Mr. Patel now. Again, as I just mentioned, you also started long way back, time back. Different scenario. Today you have constructed Kashi Vishwanath corridor, one of the biggest office buildings, Surat Diamond Bourse, Gujarat CM office, and Vidhan Sabha. But at that time, if I have to ask you, what were your 3 biggest challenges?
Sapna, first and the foremost thing which I personally believe that life में कोई challenge है ही नहीं. Because see, I come from a Sainik school background. I used to study in a Sainik school from 5th to 12th. So that's the organization where we were getting vacation for 6 months. After 6 months, only 1 month vacation. And it was like a military school, so we have to learn everything from right to morning. It was it's like 1 hour, and you are perfectly learn a disciplined life over there. When I was in 6th or 7th class, I don't remember, but I remember one quote which usually and has inspired me a lot, and I am today also implementing in my life. That clearly says it's not doing the thing we like to do, but liking the things we have to do, that makes your life blessed. तो अगर भी चैलेंज कैसे हो सकता है कि अगर काशी विश्वनाथ का प्रोजेक्ट में लेके बैठा हूँ, अगर अपने पीएम साहब ने नक्की कर दिया कि 13 दिसंबर को इनॉग्रेट करना है तो करना है. नाउ इट इज अ कैलकुलेशन दैट फर्स्ट यू ओन दैट पार्ट. अगर आप इसको चैलेंज समझ के रहोगे तो स्ट्रेस आ जाएगा. सो आई पर्सनली ऑलवेज बिलीव कि डोंट फील एनी वर्क एज अ चैलेंज, बिकॉज इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ योर जर्नी. आपने प्रोजेक्ट लिया, आपको प्रोजेक्ट पूरा करना था, 7 महीने के जगह 5 महीने में करने का है. व्हाट इज द डील, वेदर इट इज पॉसिबल और नॉट. एंड इफ यू आर keen and positive in your thought, I think everything is possible, nothing is impossible, and I always believe in that word also. Even impossible says I am possible, and that's the way we have worked. And I have plenty of examples. सारी दुनिया जब मना करती थी कि बॉस आप क्या बोल रहे हो, मैं कहूँ तो मेरा एक टिपिकल गुजराती वर्ड है थई जैसे. And जे थई जैसे जे छे ना, it comes from heart, and rest of the things back to that comes from mind. See, there are two ways to understand. आपके पास जो काम आ गया है उसको एक बार तो ओन कर लिया, जो दिल से बात किया है, तो दिल अगर मान लेता है कि दिस इज पॉसिबल तो माइंड विल सपोर्ट. अगर दिल नहीं मानता और मैंने किसी को बोल दिया थई जैसे, तो फिर मैं उसको उल्लू बना रहा हूँ. एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, आफ्टर 4 or 6 months, आई विल से इट्स समथिंग विच इज नॉट पॉसिबल और विच इज आई वॉज लाइंग. सो चैलेंज में लाइफ में अगर कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री में कोई आदमी बोले तो सारा सुबह से शाम तक चैलेंज ही चैलेंज है. अब साइट पे जाते हो तो कोई इशू आता है. इन जनरल दिस इज द मोस्ट अनऑर्गेनाइज इंडस्ट्री, सो यू हैव आर फेसिंग चैलेंज. ओनरशिप का उतना ही प्रॉब्लम है. डेडिकेशन टुवर्ड्स वर्क फ्रॉम द स्किल पीपल, अनस्किल पीपल, एंड इवन द टेक्निकल पीपल, दैट्स ऑल्सो ए चैलेंज. बट अगर हर रोज आप चैलेंज लेके सुबह में काम कर पे जाओगे, शाम को यू कांट कम विथ स्ट्रेस फ्री. सो मैं हमेशा ये चीज हमेशा मानता था और मेरे स्टाफ को भी बोलता हूँ, आफ्टर 7 प्लीज डोंट वर्क फॉर मी, गो होम हैप्पीली एंड डोंट कीप एनी ऑफ योर स्ट्रेस इन योर माइंड टिल यू गो टू योर फैमिली. बिकॉज ये धंधा तो कंटिन्यूस है. इसको अगर आप ये आज एक चैलेंज आ गया, मोरल डाउन हो गया या स्टाफ का मोरल डाउन हो गया, तो वी आर द पीपल टू मोटिवेट देम. सो मैंने कभी लाइफ में किसी चीज को चैलेंज माना ही नहीं था. यस, ईच एंड एवरी वर्क, कुछ काम सिंपल होते, कुछ हार्ड होते. हार्ड को सिंपल कैसे बनाना है, दैट्स द वे, एंड दैट्स द वे वी हैव टू थिंक, बिकॉज पीपल अंडर यू आर ऑलवेज इन्फ्लुएंस एंड मोटिवेटेड बाय यू. अगर आप निराश होंगे तो 99% यू कांट रीच टू अ सक्सेस. मैं काशी विश्वनाथ की बात करूं तो हमने 16 महीने, आई थिंक यस 16 months, we did 160 crore work, and when it was decided this boss it has to be completed by December, we were left with 4 months, and we did 200 crore work in 4 months, and nobody will even कुछ हद तक. एक बार हम लोग साइट पे घूम रहे थे एंड कमिश्नर साहब और मैं साइट पे राउंड मार के आ रहे थे. अवर आर्किटेक्ट वाज मिस्टर बिमल पटेल, ही वाज विथ मी टेकिंग द राउंड. एंड कमिश्नर साहब ने बोला कि बिमल भाई क्या लगता है, तो बिमल भाई बोलता है कि आपको क्या लगता है. दे वर टॉकिंग इन द सेंस कि पूरा होगा कि नहीं होगा. तो बिमल भाई ने पूछा कि आपको क्या लगता है, तो कमिश्नर बोलता है कि मैं तो इस पे भरोसे करके बैठा हूँ. तो बिमल भाई बोलते मैंने भी वही किया है. सर दैट्स द फैक्ट. सी कहाँ जाओगे, ओनर क्या करेगा, पर्सन हु इज वर्किंग एट ग्राउंड, he has to trust him. But the point here is the person whom they have trust is trustworthy, one part. Does he consider as an owner, ownership लेके काम करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, that's the second part. Otherwise कोई architect, कोई commissioner कभी एक contractor पे बैठ नहीं करेगा. And that's the example, and that's the experience they must have done, experienced somewhere in my life. कि ये लोग बोलते तो करते. So that's what I personally believe, that let us not consider any work which is a challenge. बाकी construction industry में challenge का तो कोई अंत ही नहीं है. सुबह से शाम तक it is a challenge, tough task, नहीं काट, unorganized industry, material delivery late आया, quality में खराब हुआ, किसी ने ये बोल दिया, वो बोल दिया. Lots and lots of things. Daily it is considered a challenge, and when you consider it as a challenge, you will never come out of depression. मैं हमेशा शाम को 7 बजे शांति से घर पे जाता हूँ, मोबाइल ऑफ होता है, नींद अच्छी आ जाती है, but the whole day I considered each and every part of work as a work and not as a challenge. Thank you.
So I think one common factor, yeah, that does deserve an applause for both our speakers, because they don't, first of all, they have listened to their heart. You know, they did what their heart told them to do, you know. So that is why I think आपके लिए काम नहीं है, आप enjoy करते हैं उसको, और
the job satisfaction is
you have the job satisfaction, और आपके लिए कोई challenge बड़ा नहीं है, क्योंकि that is part of your work. You enjoy that. But let me ask you a tough question, because it is your birthday.
You are depressing me before asking the question.
What is that you like the most about your work, and what is that you like the least about your work? कौन सी चीज़ आपको सबसे कम पसंद है और कौन सी चीज़ सबसे ज़्यादा पसंद है अपने काम के बारे में?
मेरे लाइफ में जिसको मैं लीस्ट पसंद है वो नेगेटिविटी. मेरे पास कोई भी आदमी की नेगेटिव बात करता है तो आई गेट इरिटेटेड. एंड द बेस्ट पार्ट, अगेन आई विल गो टू द सेकंड पार्ट, इज पॉजिटिविटी. क्योंकि हर चीज, हर लाइफ में सुबह से आप शुरू करते हो, एंड व्हेन यू स्टार्ट एट 9 o'clock इन द मॉर्निंग एंड काम के अंदर अगर आप उसको पॉजिटिवली देखते हो, या एक पॉजिटिव आदमी आपसे खड़ा रहता है, तो देयर कम्स सो मेनी सॉल्यूशंस टू दैट. एंड एक नेगेटिव बात आती है तो उसके अंदर से इतने सारे प्रॉब्लम और खड़े हो जाते हैं कि यू गेट एग्जॉस्टेड. I will give you a very good example which I have heard from our PM. My brother is in Germany, and he came up with this MBA students visit in India every year. So when we built this Swarnim Sankul one, and our PM was CM of Gujarat, they requested to have that visit with this our chief minister. So chief minister जब साहब थे तब उधर MBA के जर्मन स्टूडेंट ने एक प्रश्न साहब को बोला था कि how are you able to maintain your whole day cycle so fresh, कि इतना सारा हार्डशिप में भी आप स्ट्रेस फ्री काम कैसे करते हो. एंड दिस इज अ थिंग विच आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 2014. आज 9 साल हो गए, फिर भी मेरे को याद है, क्योंकि मेरे को सुनना था और मैंने सुना और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट किया है. सो मैं उसका एक जवाब, उन्होंने जो जवाब दिया था, रियली इट इज इंस्पायरिंग. ही सेड आई स्टार्ट एट 4 o'clock, मैं योगा करता हूँ, मेरा रूटीन खत्म करके 8 साढ़े 8 को मैं ऑफिस आ जाता हूँ, एंड आई स्टार्ट माई वर्किंग. उन्होंने एक ही चीज बोली कि जितने भी कंफ्यूज काम है मैं साइड में रख देता हूँ. Because right from the morning, I don't want to enter into a debate type of work or debate type of file where I will require 5 to 10 people. तो मैं अपनी एनर्जी वेस्ट करता ही नहीं हूँ. So if there is a confusion in file, put it aside. अगर सुबह में एक ऐसी फाइल लेके बैठ गए जिसके अंदर so many questions are there, so many negativities are there, so many peoples are involved, your whole day is gone because you are exhausted by 12 o'clock. एंड दैट्स व्हाट द चैलेंज इज. अगर आप लाइफ को इस तरह से देखते हो कि सुबह से शाम तक अपन अपना रूटीन कैसे रखे, तो मैं हमेशा यही बोलता हूँ कि कीप योर रूटीन एज ए यू एन इंडिविजुअल. एक आदमी साइड पे जा रहा है, काम पे जा रहा है, किसी से बात कर रहा है, उससे बात सुन रहा है, शांति से सुन रहा है, उसमें से पॉजिटिव पार्ट और नेगेटिव पार्ट, ओनर मैं हूँ तो मेरे को ही जवाब देना है. एवरीथिंग कम्स फ्रॉम ओनर्स टू द पीपल. अगर आदमी कंफ्यूज है, अगर ओनर कंफ्यूज है, आई थिंक द होल टीम इज कंफ्यूज. And if you are not confused, just own the question which is being asked by your subordinates and answer them in a proper way, motivate them in a proper way, and things will be done properly.
Okay, so what Mr. Patel is saying, positivity is his most likable thing, and the least that he likes is the negativity. Mr. Pandya, what do you like the most about your work?
Friday evening. No. I think basically I am blessed with being in a profession that I am, that even if the project is actually not built, but doing it on paper, you're creating. So it's a joy of creation as a mother, you know. So, and I mean, it's like a director who might have film. Director's job is till making of a film, whether it runs in box office or not, whether it's released or not, that's a separate this thing. So always tell my colleagues that what we are producing. And the first idea is a complete kind of a thought, which is a pure virgin, it's you. Everything else can start diluting with economics, with bylaws, with...
So you like the creativity.
So the kind of opportunity that you get in this profession, not only that, but that also kind of becomes a subject area that touches many things. There's just a small story. One student went to learn architecture, and architect said that unless you know sculpting, you can't learn because it's about form and massing. He goes to a sculptor, and sculptor says you can't learn sculpting till you know dance because it's about form and how expression. Goes to a dancer, he says without music there is no dance. Musician says without lyric there is no music. And poets say living life is what poetry is about. Right. It's all around you. So right. I think our profession goes back to living life, observing, assimilating, interpreting, and then applying.
And then
so I think it's that whole thing of living holistic life, and that has sustained me by being at school, being in things to write and think about it.
But what
as
is it
well
that
as
you
to
don't
create,
like about your work?
Don't like is when people come with the prefix, the Pinterest. There was London jaisa ghar chahiye, and they would bring anything, and their plot would be 1/10 of the bathroom that they show. So I think the Pinterest, there's one humor, but I think a lot of architects might want to put that. Like doctors have started putting it, that Wikipedia leke mere room mein nahi aane ka. So, if you want my practice, it's 200 rupees. But if you want me to do what you want, then it's 500 rupees. And you want it to match Pinterest, then it's 5 lakh rupees.
That's quite interesting. Both of you have achieved a lot, looking at the trail of work that you have done. Do you feel sometimes, both of you 30 years in the industry going, that now it's time to sit back, relax, take it slow? Anytime do you feel, Mr. Pandya? Mr.
No,
Patel?
I think, and again, it's not a cliched answer, but I think when you think you are involved with many things, you have not completed many things, and therefore you don't think that this is over. In fact, anytime you get this so-called lifetime achievement award, which means, ho gaya, you have reached, or you think you are at the peak, that means that you are now only at the downfall. So I think there's a lot that is unfulfilled, and again, it's not the destination, I think it's about a journey. And even the milestones are just a pause points to ponder and realign your course further. So in a journey, you keep walking. If it's a destination, then if you have achieved there, and now you have to do whatever. So I think as a musafir, chalte jana hai.
So Mr. Pandya is a musafir. He is enjoying his journey. Mr. Patel?
Actually, see, the perfection means what? So perfection is endless. So I also believe in that there is endless work throughout your life, and you go on in this journey, and till you get this satisfaction, you are always with the work. And the second part of the life, when we think about that, now I am the master, then you have gone. And in construction industry, in architecture industry, or this field where we are all working, it's a field of creativity, so it's an endless, till the last breath of your life. You are always with the profession, and you have to remain with the profession. That will keep your health also good. एक चीज़ बहुत अच्छी है इस बिजनेस की, मैं हमेशा देखता हूँ. हमें लोग अभी सपोज मैं कंस्ट्रक्शन करता था, फिर उसको एक ऑर्गेनाइज इंडस्ट्री पे लाया, फिर मैं लिस्टेड कर दिया. सो टुडे वी आर टॉकिंग टू सो मेनी क्लाइंट्स हु आर इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट. मैं लास्टली गांव गया था. गांव में वी ग्रोन अबाउट 10,000 ट्रीज इन ए सिंगल डे. तो ये एक दिन में 10,000 ट्री एक जगह पे लगाना, इट्स अ बिग चैलेंज. बट पॉइंट हियर इज वी नो हाउ टू डू इट. कंस्ट्रक्शन काम है तो कैसे करते हैं, तो वैसे ही ये इट्स ए मैनेजमेंट ऑफ पीपल. So how many people can do required for 100 trees X? How many people are required for 1,000? It is Y. Then how many required for this? So it's all a planning which we people always do throughout our life, and that's how we learn. So now when I go to my villages, I always talk about how can we do a contract farming or a organized farming. तो लोग बाग मेरे सामने देखते रहते हैं, बट अभी मेरे को खेती से क्या लेना देना. बट यस, इट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ माई life के it is end now. Construction industry सही चल रही है, तो there are so many things we can imply our mind. We can help people to grow from their location. It is आप अपने level पे बहुत बड़े हो गए, ठीक है अभी वो that's the journey that you have enjoyed. Let people around you also grow. So मैं गांव में जाके ये जब बात बताई कि भाई हमारा गांव बहुत छोटा है जिसके अंदर लगभग 2200 बीघा जगह है, तो मैंने सबसे बात किया कि सबसे बड़ी आदमी को ओनरशिप कहाँ आती है मालूम है? बोले गुजराती में कहेवत છે પેલો સેડો હોય ને સેડો, સેડાથી બહુ લગાવ હોય કે આ મારું ખેતર. મેં કીધું આ બધા સેડા કાઢી નાખીએ તો બધા મારી સામે જોવા માંડે, તો ભાઈ ખેતર ક્યાં જાય? મેં કીધું એ પ્લાન ઉપર યુ આર હેવિંગ એન ઓનરશિપ. So ये प्लान ऊपर नो X portion you sell to Y person. Whatever price you want to decide, you decide. હું આખા જમીનમાં શું ખેતી કરું છું ને તમારી આવક એને ડિસ્ટ્રીબ્યુટ કરું છું. ઇનિશિયલી I will invest 5 crore rupees on this. That will be a part of expense for the whole thing which we are developing. હવે આ વસ્તુ ક્યાંથી આવી? હું જે ધંધો કરતા કરતા શીખ્યો કે ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ કરીએ એનું રિટર્ન બેક કેવી રીતે આવે, હાઉ ટુ મેક ઇટ થિંગ્સ ઇઝીયર. કન્સ્ટ્રક્શનને ઇઝી કર્યું તો ફાર્મિંગને ઇઝી કેમ ના કરી શકું? ફાર્મિંગને ઓર્ગેનાઇઝ કેમ ના કરી શકું? એન્ડ ફાર્મિંગને ઇઝી કરું, ફાર્મિંગને ઓર્ગેનાઇઝ કરીશ તો મારા ગામના લોકો બી થોડાક લેવલ અપ જશે. So મારો point, so my point, sorry I started in Gujarati, but because the point here is, it is not about retiring yourself from X work. You can retire from your own business, but after this journey of 35, 40 years in a field where you have met so many problems of the society, you have met with so many problems of the industry, उसको जहाँ जहाँ आपका इनपुट देने से, आपके पैसे की सहायता देने से, अगर that industry can come out with a good solution which can help lower class people, I think that's the big thing which we have to think when we think about retiring.
Right. So I think what we are getting from both these veterans is that they are not hanging up their boots anytime soon, and they'll continue to give competition to the younger generation. So our time is up, but one last question that I would like to ask, again, it's a difficult question. You both have achieved quite a lot in your career, but I will ask you to give me one achievement out of all the achievements, out of all the accomplishments that you're really proud of. Mr. Pandya, first of all.
Not saying project, but I think all charity, and charity is, I think, a pretentious word, but the projects we did without any return in terms of money remuneration have given amazing satisfaction. One, to see the change in quality of life.
Any one project that you are
Second,
really proud of that you did and you're very happy about?
I think post-earthquake rehabilitation, where people had certain notion, we did in a participatory way, and people at the time of completion reminded me that, remember we were saying this, we had discussion and you suggested this, and now we feel happy. And 20 years later when you go, and if they have a remembrance and they have so-called gratitude for your presence there, I think that's there.
That's a
Or
lifelong memory.
one, if you said one, but one more, it's just a simple installation we did in a slum housing where 3 sides are shared with a neighbor, and it's a long house like a chawl, but without any courtyard. So the last rooms are invariably pitch dark. And for Seva, we just simply held them by putting some dormer window, ujasyu as we call it, light and ventilation. And just with little thing like that, hundreds of houses, they did 1 year post-occupancy study, and they found minimum of 250 rupees savings in each house in monthly electricity bill, as well as minimum of 1500 rupee increase in the domestic home-based economic activity per month. And then they had a whole, sort of a audience. I was the only man except for the operator, otherwise they're all women. And when they came and said that we'll get our daughters married only to these houses which have ujasyu, and that's the kind of transformation, if they feel, has happened in the quality, that I think is...
I think we need to applaud this accomplishment for sure. Mr. Patel, one achievement. You have had many to your
I have many achievements. So as he said, I have 2 achievements which I always appreciate, and I always feel about that, yes, this I dreamed and I did it. So there are 2 things. One is the smallest project which we did in this Khavda. So that was a small Sahid Smarak to be done at Khavda, and the story little bit is about our PM when he was CM of Gujarat. He was usually traveling to Bhuj on 15th of August. He had a meeting on 23rd of July in the office asking the people that what I am going to do on 15th of August when I am in Bhuj. So all IAS and all collectors were there present, and they were saying that there is a flag hoisting and then there are 1 or 2 inaugurations and then you are flying to Khavda and having lunch with border security force, and then you are flying back to Gandhinagar at 3 p.m. The moment the person said about Khavda, our PM was, as we all know, that very sharp in his memory. He asked our secretary R&B Mr. S.S. Rathod कि कल लास्ट ईयर मैं गया था उधर एक शहीद स्मारक बनाने का बोल के आया था, क्या हुआ? एंड ही लिटरली गॉट शॉक्ड बिकॉज ये शहीद स्मारक की जगह ले ली है, and that project was awarded to a small contractor and the value was 1 crore something, and the timeline given for that project was 9 months. Now when he was saying that I would, मोदी साहब ने बोला ठीक है आप जो भी जगह है हुआ नहीं हुआ मैं जाके देखूंगा. उन्होंने बोला कि सर 9 महीने का टाइम दिया है, सो प्रोबेबली दिस प्रोजेक्ट विल एंड अप इन नेक्स्ट मार्च. ठीक है मैं जाऊंगा. सो मार्च में दिया था जो तो नेक्स्ट जनवरी में खत्म होगा. सो he called up a meeting. I was doing this Swarnim Sankul and L&T was doing this Mahatma Mandir. So we both were invited to advise us and to help that contractor so that when he goes on the ground, something is seen on the ground that what type of structure we are thinking of. So सब डिस्कशन कर रहे थे, सब इनपुट दे रहे थे. एज आई सेड कि इंजीनियर को सलाह देने के लिए आई थिंक देर आर लाइन्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल. सो एवरीबडी वाज पुटिंग अप देयर एडवाइसेस कैसे करेंगे. 7 दिन में स्ट्रक्चर करते, 7 दिन क्योरिंग में जाएंगे तो 21 दिन में तो स्ट्रक्चर होगा. फिर मैं बैठा बैठा सुन रहा था सबको, तो इतने में मेरे को राठौड़ साहब ने बोला कि यार तेरे को इधर एडवाइस समझा नहीं, तेरे को काम करने जाना है, तू बैठा क्यों है? मैंने बोला सर आपको करना क्या है? बोलता इसको थोड़ा शेप में लाना है सो दैट एटलीस्ट व्हेन पीएम गोज देयर, सीएम गोज देयर, इट लुक्स लाइक व्हाट वी आर प्लानिंग टू डू. मैंने कहा इसको खत्म कर देते. तो ही कंट्रो शॉक हो गए. तो यार तू खत्म कर देगा, जो अभी 9 महीने का टाइम जो प्रोजेक्ट को दिया तो 16 दिन में खत्म कर देगा. मेरे को करने तो दो. अगर मैं ट्राई खत्म करने के लिए करूंगा तो शायद ऐसा तो होगा कि शेप में तो आ जाएगा. आपको तो खत्म करना ही नहीं है, शेप में ही लाना है. शेप का तो कोई डेफिनेशन है नहीं, आधा बना होगा आधा अधूरा होगा, वही शेप है. बोलता है ओके डन, एवरीबडी मीटिंग इज ओवर. नाउ द चैलेंज इज विद पीएस. ही वाज हैविंग ट्रस्ट इन मी, ये बोलेगा तो कुछ करेगा. वी हैड ए मीटिंग ऑन 24th at night in the evening at my office. On 25th I shifted 100 people's colony materials and 100 people's arrangement for food. And on 25th evening we were ready with the colony, and on 26th morning we did the first concreting. So now what I am trying to say here is whatever meticulous planning you do, एक बार ठान लो कि करना है तो there is always a ways. 23 तारीख को जो मीटिंग होती है यहाँ से 550 किलोमीटर दूर जाके कि आप 26 तारीख को अगर कॉन्क्रीटिंग कर सकते हो, विल पावर है तो कर सकते हो. वी डिड इट. 26 से शुरू हुई जर्नी, एंड यू विल नॉट बिलीव 12 अगस्त को मैंने मोदी साहब की इनॉग्रेशन की तख्ती लगा दी थी विद गार्डन. द प्रोजेक्ट विच वाज टू बी कंप्लीटेड in 9 months, we did it in 16 days. So that timeline was given because it's a remote location. Because the small contractor will not have that resources. We have everything. इधर मेरे को पैसा भी 2-5 लाख तो देखना ही नहीं था. It was a challenge which I have accepted, and how to make it possible, it is now my dream. So हम करते गए थे, and actually 15 अगस्त को मोदी साहब जाने वाले थे, तो 12 अगस्त को वो शेप में आ जाना, रेडी होना चाहिए. And you will not believe it was 100% ready, and मोदी साहब ने वो प्रोजेक्ट जाके इनोग्रेट करके आए. So that's one part I always feel in my life, and वो होगा. Second one is of course सूरत डायमंड बूस्ट, सबसे दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट. लाइव में 250 करोड़ का काम किया था, एंड वी वर गिविंग दिस चैलेंज ऑफ 1575. एक बार तो मेरे को सूरत डायमंड बूस्ट की कमेटी ने बोल दिया था हंसते हंसते कि यार तूने 250 से ऊपर जिंदगी में काम नहीं किया, तू 1575 के काम के लिए आया क्यों है. एंड दे वर राइट, एक्चुअली दे वर राइट कि भैया तू एक्चुअली आई शुड नॉट ड्रीम बियॉन्ड सम लिमिट. बट एक कुछ कॉन्फिडेंस होता है कि जिसको मैं पेपर पे प्रूव कर सकूँ ना, देन इट वर्क्स आउट वेल. Now, the point here is accepting everything, including Corona. We have completed this project in 4 months. The biggest record which I always say, and most of the engineers and architects will get shocked, that concreting which was done on an average of 24 months, including Holi, Diwali, vacation and monsoon, was 720 cubic meter per day. 120 ट्रक बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन में कंटिन्यूअस 24 महीना डालना, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. शायद अपने इंडिया के इतिहास में कभी डैम में भी नहीं हुआ होगा. सेकंड पार्ट, 70 टन पर डे कंजप्शन ऑफ स्टील कंटिन्यूअसली फॉर 24 मंथ्स. मैं 24 महीने पे लॉक करता हूँ और जो टोटल क्वांटिटी है उसको 24 महीने से डिवाइड करता हूँ, and then I divided by 30, that per day consumption was 70 ton and per day consumption of concrete was 720 cubic meter per day. It was not dreamed of, it was planned. कि एक प्लानिंग के साथ जा रहे थे, उसमें फेलियर आते थे, उसको सक्सेसफुली कंप्लीट करते करते जब when you create those things which is in your mind, which is in your planning, and you try to put it on web with full hard work, with full wholehearted dedication, I think anything is possible. And that's the case that this project, when I was presenting this project in one of the seminar forum like this, L&T director got shocked. He said, do you believe that this is a conventional building में आपने 720 cubic meter really डाला? मैं कोई डाला तो है, आप फिगर आके देखोगे तो मालूम पड़ेगा. So that's the one of the largest project which I personally believe that yes, that was a challenge, but मैंने accepted, काम की तरह से accept किया and we did it.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think that it shows what, the takeaways that I'm taking from this conversation is think big, but not just think big, plan as well. Plan and have that conviction that you want to turn it into reality. And second is, like both our speakers said, they followed what they believed in. They could have taken an easy path out, jo duniya kar rahi hai, wo ye hum bhi karte hain, we'll have, success very soon. So they both believed in what they wanted to do, they followed that path. I think what Mr. Patel said, challenges naam ki koi cheez hoti nahi hai, it's all in our mind, how we take it. And how Mr. Pandya said that, that is what he wanted to do, and that's why he didn't want that 4 Mercedes car outside him. He wanted job satisfaction. He wanted that creativity in his field. And I think fantastic conversation we had. We couldn't have asked for a better closing to this conclave. Thanks to both our speakers for speaking from their heart, for being in this candid conversation, taking those difficult questions on their birthday once again. And once again, many happy returns of the day and best wishes on behalf of all our audience to both our speakers on this special day of them. Thank you so much, Mr. Pandya.
Thank you all.
And thank you, Mr. Patel. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute honor and privilege to have both of you. And Mrs. Sapna, I would request you to please give away a token of appreciation from Realty Plus to Shri Prahaladbhai Shivrambhai Patel, founder, CMD and CEO of PSP Projects, and my beloved Sir, Architect Yatin Pandya. In fact, I would say, sir, I request you to please be here on the stage for a minute for a photo op. Aap upar aa jaye, sir? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the birthday, they spent their evening with us on their birthday. So, एक छोटा सा Happy birthday to you, Happy birthday to you, Happy birthday, Happy birthday, Happy birthday to you. Sir, बहुत कुछ सीखना है. और in fact मैं यतिन सर के बारे में बताऊँ, I joined SEPT in 1999. It was like almost 2 decades पहले. And he's the same. I'm talking about 20 plus years. He's the same as he is. Just थोड़ा बहुत look में difference आ रहा है, थोड़े बहुत बाल और कम हो गए. That's about it. But he's fit absolutely. So जैसे आप थे वैसे ही हुआ. Please put your hands together for both of them. So you both have inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for doing the honors, and it was a wonderful fireside chat. And ladies and gentlemen, this was the last session of the conclave, but the evening is young, and It's going to be dazzling with all the winners coming up on the stage, taking away the awards for the Excellence Awards 2023 Realty Plus, ladies and gentlemen.